Are your children staying home today? I'd love to hear from you. How are you going to cope? What information have you had from the school? Are you treating this as homeschooling, or are you hoping that your school's going to dish it up to you so that you can just say, all right, kids, sit down, it's school time? I'm here at work. My fella's doing it for us. He set the bar pretty high. He's trying very hard. I don't know how sustainable it is. We'll see. But to help us through, I'm joined now by Dr. David Roy, who's a lecturer in education at the University of Newcastle. Dr. Roy, good morning.
Good morning, Melinda.
Oh, gee, what a grand social experiment this is.
Yes, it's potentially going to change schooling as we know it, depending on how long it goes for and what happens.
Oh, wow. That's, it's... let's just make one point clear. Teachers do a university degree to become teachers. They are taught all sorts of things about education, about teaching, about children's behaviour, about development, things that we as parents might think we know, but we didn't do a university degree, did we?
No, and that's a really important point, the fact that the teachers are specifically trained, whether it's in early childhood or in primary or in a specialist subject in secondary. And what's been amazing to me in these past couple of weeks is the number of teachers who, in all systems, whether it's in the Department of Education public system or in the Catholic systems or in the independent schools, have not just been teaching their classes every day, but they've been working with each other to develop lots of online ways of engaging or ways for work to go to the home for those people who don't have access to online in the same way, so that education can still happen, because teachers have known this is going to happen. In fact, I would say the majority of teachers have wanted this to happen as a kind of a safety for the rest of the community. So they've been working very hard using their expertise, but it's not something we need to panic about yet, because there's so much we can still do in our own homes to support teachers and our own kids in their learning.
So let's talk about that. Firstly, number one, how involved should we be in teaching our children today and in the future?
Well, for the moment, we're just talking about people being at home, hopefully for just up to the Easter holidays. The idea is that after the Easter break at the end of April, kids might be going back to school. It depends on how this pandemic acts out within Australia and if we've flattened the curve enough. But the families, you're really there to be a teacher's aide, not a teacher in the classroom. All schools are providing material for the children in their classroom to work on, and the teachers are still engaged, hopefully, with the families to then support that. So you as a family member, you're the teacher's aide. You're just making sure that the kids are getting the work of the teacher and helping the kids in any way that they're struggling.
And I'm sure teachers are making themselves available if you need to get in touch with them to say they need help with this. You don't need to struggle through with your Year 9 algebra or whatever it happens to be. You can ask the teachers for that extra help if you feel your child's not getting it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Though we have to remember that teachers are not a 24-hour telephone or Skype.
Absolutely. Oh, I feel for teachers at the moment.
They need to be given that 9 till 3:30, maybe 4 o'clock maximum time frame. That's when they can engage with you, because they themselves will have families. They have to deal with things at home. They have to do marking and preparation through the evening. People forget that teaching is not 9 till 3 o'clock. Teaching tends to be 9 till 4 and then probably around about 7 till 10 o'clock again at night. So when they're doing assessment and marking. So we've got to give them that time, and also be very patient, because they're now having to deal one-to-one with households to support them, rather than be able to give instructions to, say, 20 kids at one time in a classroom and then work fully individually. But yes, they're making themselves available, and while I think there's been hiccups in how this has been maybe implemented by the systems, I think teachers have done an amazing job within doing this. And again, there's also multiple homeschool resources from those 5,000 plus people in New South Wales who already have been homeschooling their children for years and years and years.
Yeah, maybe we need to talk to some of those parents and get some tips. But it's really important. School, one of the great... School, when you first go in kindergarten, sure, you learn to read and write and that sort of thing, but really what you do is you learn to conform, don't you? You learn what it's like to behave in society and in a group, and you learn about authority and rules and that sort of thing. So maintaining some structure for kids is going to be really important, isn't it? So how do we do that?
Absolutely. Well, I think the first key thing is you have to make sure that your children know when they're doing learning and when they're just being a family member, because you're going to
have a bell, a school bell or something at home.
I'm not sure about a bell, but give clear guidelines to say, look, we're going to focus on this topic just now your class has given you, and we work on this for, set a period of time, you maybe set an hour for that topic, being aware that all kids will learn at different rates. So some children will finish tasks within 30 minutes. Some kids will need longer because they're maybe struggling with that task, or they just take longer to do tasks, and because they're even maybe more precise about it. So we've got to be flexible. For you as a family member, the key thing I would say is have resources kept in an area of the house so you know where the resources are. Your children will probably find a place that they like to work in. Now, that might be at a dining table that you have to kind of create room for. It might be sitting on the lounge. It might be on their bed. If you've got a garden, it might be out in the garden or on a trampoline. But try to create areas that your child feels comfortable learning in the way they want to learn, lying down, standing up, whatever, with a bit of music in the background, because some children actually find that as a way to process, and let them be themselves within that. So we can't be too strict, but your children do need a bit of structure because they're not used to this idea of unschooling yet, and we want them to remember the structure so that when they go back to school, there's not been a massive change. And that kind of transition of keeping this daily structure that your school has also helps with a bit of mental health, because then maybe things aren't so different. I'm just learning at home rather than a classroom, but things are very similar. So perhaps this pandemic won't be quite as upsetting in the same way. It gives a continuity for your family, and also for you as the parent, who will discover just what a great job teachers do, as so many parents start to go stir crazy with their children 24/7.
Absolutely. Look, we might even see if we can, once this has all been bedded down over the next week or so, we'll see how parents are coping. We might need to call you back, David, but thank you very much for this morning.
That's no problem, anytime.
That's Dr. David Roy, a lecturer in education at the University of Newcastle. Let me know how you're going. 1300 973 300.
This is Melinda James on ABC Illawarra.
Heather says, hi Mel, can't get enough of those guests with Scottish accents. Norman Swan, my particular favourite at the moment. So comforting. Isn't it, Heather? Just sort of washes over you, that lovely lilt. We're finding the joy in things. This strange old time. It's